In this example, we'll take a look at placing doors into our design. Please notice that I'm in a view that's set up to be a coordinated discipline. So I've created a view and then made sure that I specify that the discipline is set to coordination so that I can start working with these architectural elements. Let's go ahead and take a look at placing a door. Please notice that this particular project, because I'm working with the Revit template or a project that was based off the Revit systems template, that I don't have any door families loaded. So let's take a look at bringing those in. I'll click yes, and then we're given the dialog box that allows me to be able to go out and tell it that I'd like to, as an example, load in. Let's go get a standard door. We'll just go with this door, single panel door. And then when I tell it to bring it in, we'll notice that it brings up the door category. So rather than bringing in a door that's got 50 different door types, or in this case, maybe 8 different door types, it's very easy for me to be able to go in and specify that I'd like to bring in specific sizes so that when I bring those doors in, those are now the only door sizes that I've brought in. This is keeping the model small and very efficient and allowing us to be able to not have to deal with too many different category types that I don't need in my model. The next thing we'll take a look at is actually placing these into the design. Please notice that at the top we do have the ability to tell it whether or not we want to tag them upon placement or not. In this case, I'll turn off tagging them. Chances are, doing mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, you don't need to schedule the doors. I'll then position my cursor on top of the wall, and we'll notice that by slightly moving my cursor, it allows me to control the location or orientation of that door. And then again, by pressing the space bar, I'm able to change the swing of the door. Now please notice that in the lower left-hand corner, it's telling us and giving us these tips. In addition, at the cursor, it's also showing us that as well. Well, notice as I slide my cursor along the wall, it's controlling the position of the door. And in this case, it's relative to the interior face of the wall, and in this case, the center of the door. Measuring to the center of the door is a pretty tricky thing to do. So instead, typically we go to the openings of the doors. So let's see how we can set that up. I'll press Escape to cancel the door command. I'll go to the Manage tab at the top of the screen. I'll go to the Settings panel and locate Additional Settings. Towards the bottom of this list, we'll notice that we have temporary dimensions, and I'll click on this. Inside the temporary dimensions, we can see that we've specified faces of walls, but in this case, I'd like to specify, instead of center lines for doors and windows, I'd like to go to the openings. Now I'll type DR for door to go into the door command. As I place my cursor on top of the wall, we'll notice that we can now place it in. And it's much easier in this case, as an example, if I needed this to be 2 feet from that corner, to then place it into the design. Now this looks like a nice 2-dimensional plan. Please keep in mind that these are actual 3-dimensional elements that are being placed into the design. And if we go to a 3-dimensional view, we can then see those. And here we can see the door. Please notice that I can't select anything. It's because by default, this is a mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, or in this case, a systems project. So this particular view in this case just happened to default to the mechanical discipline. I'll go ahead and set this up so that this is now a coordination view. I'll hit apply, and we'll notice that we can now select either the wall or the doors in these views, making it very easy for us to control and then edit exactly where these elements are placed into the design. Of course, if I select the door or if I move the wall, they're associated with each other. So if this wall needs to move to a new location, as an example, the door comes along with it. If I delete the wall, then the door disappears. Or if I can now also, I'll use the tab key to select the door. Of course, I can control where that's located as well. So this is adding doors inside of Revit MEP.